Underwater diving was practiced in ancient cultures, gathering food and other valuable resources, such as pearls and precious coral. But they could hardly reach 20 to 30 meters deep, and for only 5 minutes. The diving bell is one of the earliest type of equipment for underwater work and exploration. Its use was first described by Aristotle in the 4th century BC and used till the 17th century AD. It enabled divers to stay for a longer period, but still limited to 30 meters deep. Further developments by inventing the open and closed scuba diving systems enables us to go deeper and stay longer. But it wasn't until the late 20th century, by inventing the remotely operated underwater vehicle, we were able to see how it looks like thousands of meters beneath the water surface. Extensive researches studied the light beneath the sea surface. The source of light are the sun, the moon, and the stars. That's why in a cloudy day, the light below the sea surface dramatically decreases. When the light waves reach the water surface, part of it is reflected back and the other penetrates the water. From the part that penetrates, some light is absorbed by microscopic green-colored phytoplankton. This is what gives the shallow water a greenish look, yet this occurs much less within the deep sea. Another part of this light is scattered by particles suspended in the water. This scattering is increased by the sea waves. The ocean has a special type of waves called the deep sea waves. The water particles move in successive orbits, one above the other. 200 meters deep from the point where the light penetrates the water surface is called the sunlight zone. The light amplitude then intensely decreases until about 1000 meters. This is the twilight zone. Below this level, there is not a single photon of sunlight, only complete darkness, and that is the midnight zone. In the sunlight zone, as different colors have different wavelengths, different colors are absorbed at different depths. If we assume that a scuba diver is wearing this fancy glove, at depths of 30 meters, the red waves will be absorbed and the red light disappears. If he gets injured at this depth, his blood will look black. At 60 meters, he will no longer see the orange color. At 80 meters, the yellow. At 110, the violet. And below 250 meters, all the colors disappear, but the scuba diver can still see his hands. The human eye is adapted to see in dim light. The pupil dilates and the retinal sensitivity increases to catch minimum light photons. This adaptation reaches its maximum at a depth of 600 meters. At this depth, you cannot see colors, borders, or details of an object, but you can hardly detect its movement. This is because the detection of movement is the last function to be preserved by the retinal rod receptors. Now, is there any light below 1000 meters? Surprisingly, yes. Some creatures have the ability to emit light as a result of chemical reactions in their body. This is called the bioluminescence. Through this light, they can have what's called a spot vision. It's like having a small light in a vast wide dark desert. You can just explore your way through. Creatures at these depths lacking this bioluminescence are blind, like this blind lobster living 300 meters deep, or this yeti crab that lives 2200 meters deep. They are not just blind, they don't even have eyes. The Holy Quran is God's words that has been revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the early 7th century AD. The word sea has been mentioned in the Quran 33 times. The word sea in the Quran has different meanings. It could mean a river, a lake, a gulf, a sea, or an ocean. Among these 33 times, the deep sea was mentioned only once, and what was mentioned about it was really amazing. Quran chapter 24 verse 40. أو كظلمات في بحر لجي or like layers of darkness in a vast deep sea. يغشاه موج من فوقه موج من فوقه سحاب, overwhelmed by waves, above which there are waves, above which there are clouds. An amazing description to the deep sea waves and factors that magnify the deep darkness, waves and clouds. ظلمات بعضها فوق بعض, layers of darkness one above the other. إذا أخرج يده لم يكد يراها. When one puts forth his hand, he can hardly see it. Hardly seen, no colors, no borders, no details, just movement. That's why he used the term أخرج يده instead of نظر إلى يده, or look at his hand. The difference is the hand movement. ومن لم يجعل الله له نورا فما له من نور. And the one to whom Allah doesn't give light can have no light at all. The bioluminescence. And those whom Allah has not given light are blind. It's never a coincidence that the name of the chapter 24 is the light, Surah An-Nur. A debate about these scientific wonders in the Quran has been lately addressed even among Muslims themselves. From the abuse and over-twisting of the Quranic verses on one hand, to the complete denial of the whole concept of having such scientific signs in the Quran on the other hand. First, we have to keep in mind that Allah is the all-knowing and the creator. When He talks about His creations, He knows exactly what He is talking about. ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير. By default, Quranic verses could tolerate different meanings and interpretations. Quran ordered people more than 60 times to use their mind and think about verses. كتاب أنزلناه إليك مبارك ليدبروا آياته وليتذكر أولو الألباب. The Quran told us that His verses will be in the future more clear and point out its truth. سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق أولم يكفي بربك أنه على كل شيء شهيد. But at the same time, respect scientific tools, logic, authentic references, using facts not theories, and accepting arguments and criticism. Respect the linguistic tools, avoid over-twisting of the meanings, and avoid jumping over the Arabic language boundaries. Don't misunderstand the aim. Quran is not a book of biology or physics. Quran is a book of guidance. وَلَقَدْ جِئْنَاهُمْ بِكِتَابٍ فَصَّلْنَاهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ هُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ. Verily we have brought them a scripture which we expounded with knowledge, a guidance and a mercy for people who believe. This kind of speech is directed primarily to Muslims. Do you think that you are happy with your faith and Ibrahim, peace be upon him, is not? Remember when Ibrahim said, "My Lord, show me how you give life to the dead." He said, "Is it that you don't believe?" He said, "Of course I do, but it is just to make my heart at peace." The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is commenting on this verse in the authentic narrations of Bukhari and Muslim, saying, "نحن أحق بالشك من إبراهيم إذ قال رب أرني كيف تحيي الموتى." Ibn Hajar is explaining the Prophet's comment that if Ibrahim needed, so definitely we do. And the message of the story was, if you need more faith, you have to show more efforts. So search, think, reevaluate, and ask Allah for guidance. Ask for the light from the source of the light of the heaven and the earth.